Tonight on Johnny's Prime, Buduburam cop killer suspect charged with murder days after his arrest. A profile of the suspect suggests he's a notorious land guard who's had brushes with the law.
His mom's death, he came around to threaten people working on the land. He threatened to beat up my brother, who was the foreman at the site.
6 other suspects arrested in connection with the incident have also been charged with conspiracy to commit murder and abetment to commit murder. Court adjourns to September 16 case involving 2 self-styled pastors who allegedly kidnapped, raped and impregnated an 18-year-old lady at a flower in the Volta region.
From the time you woke up and you found yourself in blood, they still had sex with you subsequently?
Yes. Every day.
Suspended electricity distributor PDS touts significant reduction in outages for the period that it was in charge. We're giving you a chance to assess the company's performance. Please go to our social media handles and let's have your say. And in business.
Oil marketing companies rule out absorbing recent adjustments in energy sector levies on petroleum products. We'll hear from the association's fuel prices as fuel prices go up.
They are not pricing what they are supposed to be pricing, and it's really hurting them.
I'm Israel Lai. Joy News Prime comes to you live from the Joy News studio at Kokomlimli here in Accra with digital address GA0992539. Stay tuned in. The prime suspect in the killing of 2 police officers at Buduburam near Kaswa has been charged with murder by a district magistrate court here in Accra. 33-year-old Eric Kojo-Dua, who has been on the run since the day of the crime, was arrested on Saturday at Atimpoku in the eastern region. 6 others arrested in connection with the killing of the officers were charged with conspiracy to commit murder and abetment to commit murder. They have all been remanded as investigations continue. Court correspondent Joseph Akable was in court in our reports.
7 persons were led into the courtroom by officers of the police CID on Monday. They included Eric Kojo-Dua, who was arrested in the eastern region on Saturday as the key architect in this particular matter that the police is treating as a top priority. The other accused persons include Ibrahim Zakaria, Isaac Mensah, Oblete Komi, Victor Yire, and Fatal Ahmed. The charges leveled against them include murder, conspiracy to murder, and abetment to commit murder. ASP Sylvester Asari, who is leading the state's prosecution, informed the court that investigations were at a level that required that they get access to these individuals, and so asked that they be remanded into the custody of the police, preferably at the BNI headquarters. The court granted a request remanding the 3 accused persons into the BNI headquarters, with the remaining to be kept at a facility at Osu, which we understand is in the control of the police CID. The case has meanwhile been adjourned to September 26 for trial to continue. Reporting for Joy News from the Kaneshie District Court, my name is Joseph Akable.
Well, Joy News checks on the background of the main suspect in the murder of the 2 police officers suggests he has had brushes with the law, having been involved in land guard activities in some suburbs of Accra. Yahweh also happens to be the son of a deceased prophetess who founded a church at Dansoman. Maxwell Agbagba was also at his home at Goma Buduburam and filed the following report.
Church service just ended here at a Strong Living Fire Ministry International. Well, a lot of the prayers here have focused on how the church can grow beyond what is happening to it now. I've been speaking to the administrator of the church, Stella Brown, who says the church is shocked by the incident that happened sometime last week. She says they'll be meeting today to decide on what their next line of action will be for their member who is now on the wrong side of the law.
We are very sad about the situation. It's so heavy. Our hearts are heavy, as you can see when you came to fellowship with us. There's no joy in the house, although as a church we should be joyful and all that. It has really weighed us down. So as leadership, we are going to meet and discuss how best the church can also help him, since the mother was the founder of this church. We cannot leave him like that. So we want to see how best we can help him, whether to get a lawyer. We were surprised because he came to church on Sunday. Yeah. He was here till we closed around this time. He picked even some of the elders with the car, and they went. So we didn't see anything, unusual about him.
Contrary to what members of the church founded by the prime suspect's mother say about him, residents around Dansoman Keep Fit Down have described him as someone who terrorizes them and loves to brandish his weapon.
Last time club by a clan ejuma ebu site and so on mo be tutu kula hono ma me kula me kam catch and say masa me mo tutu o ha say sa ana nya hanko a mo sa wasa se bi o tojo nso the same thing oba hono mo a. The
man really disturbs us. He was reported some time ago to the Dansoman police station for illegally shooting someone. However, the case was dismissed on grounds of a witness providing contrary state. This is a common practice with him. Threats and guns are common traits when he's around. I really know him. He hardly forgives when provoked.
Well, this is the residence of the prime suspect, Eric Kojodia. It's currently locked with two big padlocks. Some residents have been speaking to say after the incident happened on Thursday, Eric Kojodia's wife, who lived here with him, they saw her leave this residence to another place. We are told by some sources that she left to Teshi, where she was later picked up by the Criminal Investigations Department. Some of the tenants we have been speaking with say the one-story property is owned by a woman who, we are learning from police sources, is the suspect's deceased mother who bequeathed it to him. Documents covering the buildings was said to have been used at a point as surety by Eric Kojodia to secure bail for his friend. Interestingly, there was a police uniform hanging on the drying line in the house. We're told two policemen live in the same house with the prime suspect. A lot of the residents here are tight-lipped on who Eric Kojodia is. They are scared they could be subject for police investigations. One woman who agreed to speak to us says she does not know much about Eric Kojodia. She says sometimes his children would come to her home here to play.
Debia me hu so otwem na debia otwem me nim ne nepa ban only said debia ya me hu say otwem okoba. Yeah.
Well, she says she always sees him around, going about his normal duties in his car. He normally would pass in front of her house.
Yeah. But when I am a man bit maybe diagro or money mano, you know, be bomb diagro, I will fear her.
Well, she says sometimes the suspect's children sometimes come here to come and play with her children. She says because they usually pass by in front of her house in a vehicle. She's never like had interactions with them before, but the children usually come here and come and play with her children. In Colorado, what do you say? Maybe you know about one. She says the prime suspect has two children. Yeah, they are males, they are boys. Along the main Kaswa Winneba Highway is a shop where the prime suspect usually sits with his friend who repairs motorbikes. A woman we spoke with says one of the people tagged as Eric Diaz's accomplice is the owner of the shop. She says on the day the incident happened, Ibrahim Zakaria was called by his friend, the prime suspect, to help him because his car had been snatched. She believes Eric Diaz used that as a ploy to escape and that Ibrahim Zakaria is innocent.
He had a call, so he left here. So by then the crime has already they have already killed the police then. Before Ibrahim had a call, they've stolen the car. So as they were chasing the car, the suspect, the one they are claiming he killed those people, showed them where the car is. So according to information, when they got there, the crime suspect collected Ibrahim's motor and asked them to drive the car back. That's why they caught Ibrahim in the car. but he wasn't part of them when they killed the police. They killed the police before they were chasing the car that armed robbers have stolen the car. But it wasn't armed robbers that was chasing the car. It was the guy himself who was driving the car. That is the news we had. Those people have seen him. Me, I didn't see him that very day, but people saw him himself driving the car before he called Ibrahim that the car has been stolen. He was in the car, according to the police. Ibrahim was in the car because the guy collected Ibrahim's motor and asked them to bring the car back. Okay. That's why they caught Ibrahim in the car.
Now, the police has been commended for the capture of the prime suspect, who we're learning proved quite elusive for days. There have been other instances where the police is proving quite efficient in resolving cases, leaving many to conclude that the police, with the right motivation, can prove equal to the task. So, is that really the case? Security analyst Adam Bona joins me via Skype. Thank you for making time, Mr. Bona. I'd want to put this question about the police proving quite capable once they have the right motivation. Before that, though, I want you to share with us some of the intriguing details of the arrest of Eric Dia and why this shows the police are quite capable.
Yeah, good evening, and good evening to your viewers, Israel. Well, for the Ghana police, one thing some of us have known about them for a very long time is they are very capable, one of the best in the world, but it's usually very selective, just like many other institutions. And so for me, this is not an isolated case where you would say swiftly these culprits were apprehended, within a very short time they were apprehended. It's synonymous with what we know the police of Ghana to be. And so as far as I'm concerned, the police, I mean, some of the things I've said, that sometimes will sound very controversial. They seem to know a lot of these criminal gangs. They know them either directly or
we seem to have a hitch with the connect. Yes, Mr. Bona.
Or that
well, I seem to be having some hitches with the connection to Mr. Bona there, but if you can hear me, I'd want you to just go back to the first question I asked about the details you know about the capture of Eric Dia, who's the prime suspect in the killing of the two policemen at Budubram.
What basically I'm trying to... Can you hear me?
I can hear you good.
Okay. Basically what I'm saying is that he committed a crime and eventually wanted to escape. It's coming out that he was aided by none other than someone who looks like a police officer, but that is still under investigation, hoping that the police would tell us the involvement of one of their own colleague. I mean, at the moment it's alleged one of their own colleague aided the suspect, harbored him for some time before he decided to, showed him how he could leave. And so at the moment, these are all issues that the police would have to investigate for now. Right. And so, yeah.
All right, but would you agree that with the right motivation, the police can prove equal to the task?
Yes, with the right motivation, they would prove so equal to the task, Israel. You can name from the time when Ninja and Tola were, murdered. They were buried under, a building foundation, and they exhumed them. They got their remains and arrested almost all the people who were involved. Most of them are in Sound prison at the moment. This is a case in point again where one can point to the fact that our police is one of the most professional policing institution in the world. Only if we support them and we depoliticize the institution. And so for me, nothing stops us from using some of these test cases to say, how do we get the police to replicate this when it comes to dealing with people who are not police officers? When crimes are committed against us and it is reported, can they also act swiftly? Yes, I'm sure they can do, only if we give them the right motivation. But you don't have to be surprised. Doctors will treat doctors quickly. If you touch a doctor, they will demonstrate. If you touch a teacher, they will demonstrate. And so as far as I'm concerned, Israel is in line with best international practice.
All right. But we also see them act quite swiftly when it happens to be high-profile cases or attention or these cases come to national prominence?
Oh yes, but not entirely. We still have the case of Ahmed Swal and a couple of people who high-profile cases that one can say the police have not been able to get those who committed the crime or the murders. But when you can list all the police officers, starting with go back to Combien, those Combien attacked in the north, killed some of them. You can list them, Tola and his people, Tola and Ninja when they were killed. You can go back and you would realize that once you touch a police officer, they'll gang up against you. It's one thing we need to know. And so the advice to criminals is that if you touch police officers, you can be sure that they will pick you up. And so, yes, some high-profile cases, they would act swiftly. But it becomes very swift if it is one of them. As for that, it doesn't matter even if it's a police constable, a police cleaner. They would fish you out and get you arrested.
All right, Mr. Bona, before you go, I'd also want to bring this issue up to get your thoughts on it. It has to do with the directive by the Interior Minister that police officers, even those on traffic duties, be armed. What's your take on that?
Well, my take on that is that it wouldn't be, I would advise against it if I'm asked to provide some advice. I would advise against it because, first of all, how well trained are our motor traffic department officers?
Are they not first trained as police officers? So all police officers are police officers.
For instance, Israel, you and I know that the defunct detective training school has been rehabilitated by the current CID boss. The reason is that you don't need to be a general police officer to be able to perform the role as a detective. And so to be able to perform the role as someone who has to work within the MTTD, it used to be a unit, now it is a department. You need to go through a lot of training. But as we speak today, that is not the case. And so you are going to arm officers. I mean, I'm watching on your screen, armed officers who are sweating under the sun. Who are they going to carry, what do you call them, AK-47s or sidearms and all that? I would urge that if they are going to be armed, they should be armed rather with non-lethal weapons like pepper sprays, like tasers, and what have you. And most of them, even in these traffic officers, simple tools such as handcuffs, they don't have them. So that you see, the normal motor traffic or transport police we know in the world, when they stop you and they suspect that you have some contraband in your car, they tell you to step out and they'll cuff you. And then they'll do a thorough search. But most of these officers don't have simple tools such as handcuffs. And you are going to give them pistols or AK-47s. And you know the way all of us behave in the city centers where the roads are few and we are struggling to go through. A police officer who is under stress, they are stretched. You talk and he will talk and you talk back. The next thing, he will slap you. And what is going to follow? If you slap him, he will pull his shotgun. Depending on his temperament, he'll put bullets into you. One or two deaths that way. And, we are going to be telling a different story. And so we need to be careful and rather call for more training, with regards to deploying road traffic officers within, various cities and on our highways, Israel.
All right. Thank you very much, Adam Bona, as a security analyst. Thanks as always for your insights. And staying with this topic, Chairman of the National Peace Council, Most Reverend Professor Emmanuel Asante, says it is not enough to just provide police with guns in their fight against crime. The Interior Minister last week directed that officers deployed to manage traffic be armed following the fatal shooting of 2 officers at Budumbram near Kaswa in the Central Region. It says personnel need to be given more training on weapons handling.
Every man of peace or woman of peace would not be happy with the escalation. And especially when we are attacking the very people, institution that is there for the peace and development of the nation, the police. It's not something that we should be happy with. But we cannot throw our arms also in the air and say that all is lost. All is not lost. The very fact that these things are happening and our police are working, they have not totally succeeded in everything. but they are making progress. And I think it is our responsibility as citizens of this nation to support the cause for peace, the cause for law abiding in this land, and promote that which will ensure the peace and development of the nation. We should be mindful of the things that we say when things happen. I have heard a lot of people discussing security issues in this country, and they do so without most, as if nothing is at stake. There are certain things you don't go in public and talk about. Security matters. You have to be circumspect when you are discussing security matters, because as you do so, you also give information to those nation wreckers.
You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break, but still ahead in the bulletin. Suspended electricity distributor PDS starts significant reduction in outages for the period that it was in charge. We're giving you a chance to assess the company's performance. Please go to our social media handles. Let's have your say. As you can see, it appears those who disagree are in a comfortable lead. Do stay tuned in. We're back in a bit. Well, Power Distribution Services is now touting its performance for the past 4 months, describing the feat as unprecedented. The power distributor, which was cited for concession breaches, says debts inherited from the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, have been significantly reduced, whilst revenue collection has improved. The company, while awaiting its fate following investigations into the breaches, also says power supply in the last 4 months has been significantly stabilized compared to the same period in 2018. Now, Emefa Apau has a copy of the PDS Operating Performance Report for the period March to July 2019, and she joins me in the studio. Now, Emefa, what are the details?
Okay, so like you said, this report spans 4-month period. That's March to July 2019, and it first talks about the stability of power supply in the country compared to what it was last year in 2018. So it says that the average number of power outages a consumer experienced from March to June 2019 is 18.43 times, which is a 20.5% improvement.
Okay.
The same period in 2018. So if you could recall, they're saying that in March 2018 and comparing it to March 2019 up to onto July, the power situation has improved by up to 20.5% improvement with witness. It's also talked about the average duration of power outage a customer experienced from March to June 2019, and it says that is 17.26 hours, and that's about 30.6% improvement over the same period for last year in 2018.
All right. So for your information, we've asked you to get onto our social media handles and tell us what you think, because this is what PDS says, but you are the consumers, and so you are in a better position to tell us what the situation is like. And looking at what we have on the screen right now on Twitter, we have 60% disagreeing and 40% saying, well, yes, the situation has improved significantly. But let's get back to it. What does it say about revenue collection?
Okay, so it was one of the major issues why we've had this concession agreement, because of ECG's inability to collect revenue. But the PDS is saying that since they took over the past 4 months or so, even though they did not tell us how much they've invested, they're saying that power purchase by PDS increased by 5.29% compared to the same period last year when it was still under ECG. Now, energy sales, it says it increased by 1.32% compared to the same period last year. Now, revenue collection, as you asked, they said that has increased by 4.87%, which is a total of 1.86 billion Ghana cedis from March to June 2019 compared to the same period last year. Interestingly, though, they do not tell us how much ECG made within the same period last year, which they are comparing to, and that's the figures that we are still digging up to find.
So the other issue that I'd want us to touch on has to do with the investigations the government said it was conducting. But before we do that, I'd want us to go onto Facebook as well, where we also put the poll. And there on Facebook, you can see the numbers we have. 67% disagree that the PDS has significantly reduced power outages, while we have 33% saying, yeah, they do agree. And this is after 904 votes. We'll be sharing the votes or the results of the votes as we go along. And those of you who are watching, you can also get on our Facebook pages and our Twitter pages and also vote as well. So let's come back to the issue about the investigations.
Okay.
Now, Joy News is learning that investigations into the breaches in the concession agreement of the power distribution service have been concluded.
Exactly.
And with the report currently being finalized to be presented to President Akufo-Addo sometime this week. 2 teams were tasked with probe allegations of contractual breaches between government and PDS. And as you said, yes, they went to Qatar and the United States. What do we have?
Okay, so you know also that once PDS was suspended at that point, government gave them 30 days to investigate. That elapsed about last week or so. And then that team, they went to the USA and then also to Qatar. We are told that they finalized that report. And this week, all that we are waiting for now is for MEDA to make inputs into that, report that this delegation has been able to come up with. Once that is done, by close of this week, President Akufo-Addo should have received that report. Then we all know what they found and what will happen, which will be the way forward. All right, thank you very much. Before you go, though, I'd like us to get back onto Facebook and read some of the comments of those who are voting. And here we have Richard Frimpomansu says, is it the same PDS that's supposed to have been suspended and being investigated that's issuing statements touting its so-called achievement? It is the same lights that keeps tweaking that they're talking about. The same PDS whose prepayment meters eat power like something. And continues, they are all over with this brazen bravado because we are in a regime where our leaders are indifferent about the plight of the ordinary citizens. God help Ghana. And Inyo Kwabla says, what work have they done over the period? Doomsday is over because of the massive investments JM made. Right, so these are just a few of your comments that you've shared with us. You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break, but still ahead in the bulletin. In business, all marketing companies rule out absorbing recent adjustments in energy sector levies on petroleum products. We hear from the association that fuel prices go up.
Are not pricing what they are supposed to be pricing, and it's really hurting them.
And then court adjourns to September 16 case involving 2 self-styled pastors who allegedly kidnapped, raped and impregnated an 18-year-old lady at a flower in the Volta region.
Apart from the time you woke up and you found yourself in blood, they still had sex with you subsequently?
Yes. Every day.
That's one quite disturbing story. Do stay tuned in. We'll be back in a bit with all other news. Now, former President John Mahama has lamented the poor state of the Damanko-Pasa stretch of the Eastern Corridor Road. Construction works on the 70-kilometer road has stalled since 2016. This is one of the many projects the NDC running mate has been inspecting on his tour of some regions in the country. Last week, he chided government for abandoning some E-block projects as part of the Community Day Senior High School project, a claim government has rejected. A caretaker on the site told Mr. Mahama and the national chairman of the NDC, Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, they have been rendered redundant.
You were working before we lost power? Yeah, that was in 2016 we started the work. It was an effective way. We worked like how we were supposed to work. But in 2017, that was when I was recruited. By 2016, I was there. By 2017, I was recruited in this work. So we were working to some place like in September that way. It's like the work got down. And in 2018, we started the work like bringing the chippings and things from Prachi. And then we started the work working in some parts. It's like the work is like it stopped. We worked like 1 week, then we stopped. And then up to now, we've not seen anything again. We've not worked for some. Like we begin 2019, there's nothing like work. Even resuming work is difficult. Workers, they came back, it's like, since there was no work, so they have to go back. So you are just here as a caretaker of the equipment? Yeah.
You are looking after the machine?
Yes.
President Mahama said the project should have been completed by 2018 if government had paid the contractors.
It was divided up between several contractors.
This is OT Damanko stretch.
So this is OT Damanko stretch. There's the Nakwanduri Damanko stretch. We came on it yesterday. You saw that many segments had been completed. It just needs to be joined together. Then you also have the Damanko to Nkwanta.
the Nkwanta stretch.
Yeah, from Baza to
Baza to
that is
Nkwanta.
from somewhere within CB.
Yeah.
CB there, up there.
CB Hilltop to Nkwanta. Yeah. Then we did the Nkwanta to Dodi Pepesu stretch. That was an EU funding. And then you have from Dodi Pepesu to Jasikan, then Jasikan to Hohoi. All these had contractors working on various segments on them. The contractors' main complaint is that many of them have not been paid for 3 years now. Since 2016, they've not received any payment. And there's no way you can continue working when you don't receive any payment for the work done. This is a very critical road because all the yams and maize and other agricultural products that are grown in the northeastern part of the country come down this road to the markets in the south. And so I think that government should, gear up and pay the contractors so that the contractors can come back onto the road and complete it. The intention was that by 2018, all segments of this road would have been completed and the road would have been, through. But here we are going to 2020 and still the road is in a poor shape. If you look at the one we just came on, what they had put on half of the road is the final chippings that they put before they put the asphalt on it. And cars have started working on it. So now if you want to go back on the road, you have to repair that surface again before you can put the asphalt. That means it's going to cost more, to be able to finish the road than it would have been. It would have cost if the work had continued. Okay. And then market.
A Keta Circuit Court has adjourned to September 16 a case involving two self-styled pastors who allegedly kidnapped and raped an 18-year-old lady at Aflao in the Volta region. The two suspects who had been giving shelter in the home of the victim's mother are said to have taken the girl away in April 2019. Precious, not her real name, says she was sexually abused nearly every day while in captivity for 4 months until she became pregnant. There's more in the following report by Komlado and Ivy Setoji.
They usually beat me with planks when they want to have sex with me.
Okay, so it means that apart from the time you woke up and you found yourself in blood, they still had sex with you subsequently?
Yes. Every day.
The pain of an 18-year-old girl kidnapped from Aflao and raped multiple times by two men posing as destitute pastors on a mission from Nigeria. For 4 months, Precious, not her real name, was subjected to sexual abuse by her captors who baited her with a snack.
They asked that they wanted to eat pizza, which I also agreed that I would also like to eat the same pizza. So my mom instructed us to go and get the pizza and come back. So when we went, they gave me malt before getting to where we'll buy the pizza, and I drank it. After drinking it, I never knew what was happening anymore around me.
This is all she could remember after having the drink.
The only thing I remembered was that I was found in a room, naked, and I was bleeding. I got up, but I had no strength. But then they took a picture of me naked and they showed it to me that if I eventually decide to go away or tell anybody, that they will send the picture viral.
As if that was not enough, Precious would spend the next 4 months after her capture as a sex object for the two men. The men transported her between Nigeria, Togo and Ghana, demanding ransoms from her parents to facilitate her release. After weeks of being held and abused, she got pregnant.
They find out that I was months pregnant and those boys checked and then they gave me a drink. It's in the form of a water, but it's bitter, and when you take it, your stomach gets very hot and you started feeling very bad about as in the way your stomach feels. You're not comfortable. After all this, my dad had been going through ups and downs to make sure that I get a better treatment. But that is not what I want. What I want is that justice should be served. They shouldn't just go scot-free.
Her mother narrates how her act of kindness to offer the self-styled pastors a home opened her family up to the incident.
These two people that came to my house, the first day they came, they were smelling like people that came out from prison. The first day I saw them, I clothed them, I buy things for them, I make them feel that there is a hope again. The way they say they are pastors, I feel so bad. If I did not brought them in my house for helping them, giving them the job, taking care of them, I think my virgin daughter will remain virgin until she marries. Because you see, who knows tomorrow?
Frantic searches in Ghana, Togo and Nigeria on the direction of the two men did not yield any results.
I reported immediately in Togo police station. So I told them that, oh, my daughter and some men, they went to buy pizza and they told me they are in Togo. We started searching for them in Togo. Carry collected phone, beg these people, okay, please, we don't even, okay, the money, no problem, but please let us hear the voice of this girl. Not the younger brother can, recover. I know, get okay. I beg these two people like a child. I use the name of God Almighty to beg them.
Precious sums up her experiences. As she spoke to me, tears rolled down her cheeks.
I don't like the way I'm feeling, and I don't want someone else to go through that same pain. I'm facing the pain today, but I wish that justice should be prevailed. They told people at that place that I was their girlfriend, but they never allowed me to speak. I just don't want to see them anymore. I am so tired of all these things that is happening, and I wish justice can be prevailed for my sake, just for one day, so that at least I can have a better life again. That's all that I wish for.
According to her foster father, Dr. Missile Nunu, a collaboration with some young people in Aflao led to the rescue of a girl from a hideout.
In Akachabo, that she went and reported to the police, and the police said, okay, we need to know exactly where they are. The mother decided that he would get the area boys to assist. We used a bait, and the girl was there. As soon as they saw the boy, they brought the girl into the room and locked the door. They just broke the door and ran out. They didn't know there was ambush. Then called in the police, and the police came for them.
Her parents say several hospital visits from Akachi to Kolebu in Accra reveal she has severe lacerations in her private parts.
The doctor has to treat her because the doctor said that the substances they have given her have scattered the child and also having a wound in the womb. The pussy there also is having a very big wound.
But the girl was very sick. The day we went to the place, she almost collapsed. We have been to 4 hospitals so far. From Akachi Hospital, the doctor examined her and did a whole lot. From Akachi to Goklobite Clinic, she was not well. From there to Akawi, they said no, the thing is serious. So we have to rush to Kolebu Teaching Hospital. We have been there since. It has been a tug of war before we find her alive today. I cannot understand how they can hurt the girls that much.
It's been a tough 4 months she would want to forget in a hurry. She murmurs she hopes to be back on her feet again. But her ultimate dream would be to have the suspect severely punished for taking her virginity, her happiness, and her being.
I don't want it to repeat again. I want I myself to be the last, because I don't like the way I'm feeling, and I don't want someone else to go through that same pain and that same never had any bad intentions for anybody. So I don't want anyone to go through this pain. Please, I'm begging.
The two men currently in custody are to be put before the Qatar Circuit Court Monday as the state begins prosecution on the matter. Komla Adom and Ivy Setoji's report.
All right, that'll be all for the bulletin tonight. Stay tuned in for our hotline. I'm Israelite. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.